Walk with History from Big Stone Gap, Virginia. Jenn, a Walk with History, museum professional, veteran, former Navy pilot, and historian. So here I am in Big Stone Gap, Virginia. And this, when you think of Big Stone Gap, Virginia, think of the most western tip point of Virginia that's almost hitting Tennessee, Kentucky area. And I'm here because this is the location of one of my favorite movies and books, Big Stone Gap. And if you've seen this movie, it has, here's the movie poster here in the window, has Ashley Judd, Patrick Wilson, Whoopi Goldberg, and it basically just tells the story of small town living and a girl who is like the town spinster. She's 40 and she's single, and it's based in the 1970s. So when this area was very much a coal mining area, and the coal mines were still very active. So Big Stone Gap got its start because it is in the hills of Virginia. And you get these coal mines here in the late 1800s. The coal and iron that came from these hills supplied a lot of the iron work in America, and this became known as the Pittsburgh of the South. So she's telling the story of growing up here and what that was like in the 70s. But one event they really focus on is in 1978, candidate for US Senate Jack Warner stopped here with his wife, Elizabeth Taylor, the movie star. And so they do that story here as well. But this is the June Tolliver house. I think it showcased in the Christmas party during the movie, but it's right beside one of the big locations in this movie, which is the Trail of the Lonesome Pine outdoor drama. So it says tour location number 3. But this is where the main person of the movie, Ave, is the director of this play that they put on every year because there's a writer from this area who wrote this novel called Trail of the Lonesome Pine. And they put on this play every year for 3 months during the summer, and it's just a continuous thing they do here in Big Stone Gap. But this is the theater, so it's used for a lot of scenes. It's even used at the end of the movie when Ave eventually meets her father from Italy. He meets her here at the theater. So again, this is just a big part of Big Stone Gap. It's a big part of their story, it's a big part of their community, and this outdoor theater is a really big part of the movie. You can see the hills of the Appalachian Mountains here. So if you remember in the movie, she's parked over here by this building, which is where the lawyer works, her friend, and she makes the turn here onto this street and goes to where she works at Mutual Pharmacy. So this is the building here that's Mutual Pharmacy. We ate here yesterday. It's now a restaurant. It doesn't look anything like it did inside, but this Kirkland side is where the Mutual Pharmacy sign was. And you see the same kind of buildings here in the background, the green one and the red brick one. She'll pull in front here a couple times to get pharmacy stuff from Whoopi Goldberg, who plays Fleta, who is her helper in the pharmacy. And at one point, they're putting decorations up on the windows here, and they basically have a lot of scenes here in the pharmacy. So it is the same building. It just doesn't look the same anymore. Again, it's been changed into a restaurant. So this visitor center, which is right next door to the pharmacy, is where they had like the dating scenes where they would go out to eat, the diner. And I think they recreated a diner that was here, Carmine's, which was really down the street in real life, but they recreated it here. And they had some booths here where they sat at. So I'm sitting here at the booth where Ashley Judd and Patrick Wilson have their date, and their very first date when the town kind of sees them together for the first time. This is here in the visitor center of Big Stone Gap. The people who work here are very friendly, very nice. If you'd like to come in and look around, there also is an entire walking tour for the Big Stone Gap movie, and they have the brochure here in the visitor center. But if you want to see some props from the movie and sit in the actual seat where Ave and Jack have their date, it's here waiting for you. I'm in front of Trinity Methodist Church, and this is the location where Lyle is going to marry Avalou, the librarian. And you remember Ashley Judd's character runs down here and bangs on that little white door, and Avalou is already drunk, and she's like, white is not my color, it washes me out. And she gets her up here and she walks down the aisle, and basically they're both drunk. And so Patrick Wilson's character, Jack Mack, and Ashley Judd's character, Ave, are basically trying to get these two married. And in real life, that's Patrick Wilson's brother, who's playing Lyle. And they're trying to get these two married where they're like both drunk, and Fleta, Whoopi Goldberg's character, keeps saying, is anybody sober at this wedding? It's a great scene, I really love it. This church, again, Trinity Methodist Church here in Big Stone Gap, is just down the street from where Ave's house is in the movie. So, great location, but that door, it's part of the main scene, and here's the front of the church. Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Is anybody at this wedding sober? Doesn't look like it.
Where is he?
Where is he?
Come on.
This is a big deal for me. This is Ave Maria's house from Big Stone Gap. It's right here. We're at West 3rd Street and Wyandotte. But this is her house. So if you remember in the movie, she comes out of those front steps with Patrick Wilson, Jack Mack's character, go over to the truck when he gives her the book about Italy and how touched she is by the gift and everything. She's gonna sit out on the edge of the porch at night and think about her life. On the second story, she comes out of the second story window and sits on the top of the porch. But this is Ave Maria's house from Big Stone Gap. Also neat about this house, the 61st governor of Virginia grew up in this house, Linwood Holton, and he runs in the 70s, in 1970, on the platform of desegregation. And he wants to integrate Virginia's schools, and he makes a point to take his daughter to a prominently black high school in Richmond for high school. He walks her into the door, and so he puts his daughter in the school there. So he grew up in this house. He's from Big Stone Gap. As I look up into the hills of Western Virginia and think of the coal miners, I love that movie, Big Stone Gap. So if you enjoyed this Walk with History today to all the filming locations, please like and subscribe to Walk with History on YouTube. If you get a chance, please visit Big Stone Gap. The people here are just fantastic. The visitor center, the people who work in there were just amazing and very welcoming. But this is a big part of America's history. The coal miners, the people who came out here and basically powered America for the beginning of the 19th century and into the 20th century, these are the people of America. So it was just great to be here and to talk about such a great movie. On to my next Walk with History.